Everyone here today, and our resident Halloween person greeter is going to ready to. Roger?
A Rotarian prayer for the world. Let the sun come out and wash away the ancient grudges, the bitter hatreds held and nurtured over generations. Let the rain wash away the memory of those who are hurt or have been neglected. Let the sun come out and fill the sky with rainbows, giving hope to the hopeless. Let the warmth of the sun heal us wherever we are broken. Let it burn away the fog so that we can see each other more clearly, so that we can see beyond labels, beyond accents, gender, or skin color. Let the warmth and brightness of the sun melt our selfishness so that we can truly begin to see all people as neighbors. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Roger. Please be seated. Our guest today, Sal, I see your screen. Hey, Megan's going to do it today.
I got you, Sal. All right, so we have our speaker, one of our guests this morning, Ismail Arslay. He's going to be speaking a little bit later, obviously. And we have a visiting Rotarian, Murtaza, is here. Murtaza Jafar.
Good to see you, Todd.
My friend Greg stopped in a couple minutes ago. He didn't stay for breakfast. It is.
All right, a couple of things going on with my announcements to start with. I'm passing around this spreadsheet. Remember, this is make a difference, day, month, I'm not sure what all. But look on here, find your name. If you've been involved in any activities, make sure I have the activities listed across the top. Make sure I have something in the column for you, okay? And going along with that, on the tables, I have cards like we did last week. If you didn't put a card in for any event, for example, those were at Miracle League last night. Make sure you put your name on and put Miracle League, and make sure I get that before we leave. We're gonna do the drawing next week. I think we're going to make it to the 40 with a little finagling here. we're at about 32, 33 for JP. Where's JP? JP, you had your kids at Miracle League, right?
Yes, sir.
So we're gonna count that as 2. Gary Guthrie's wife, Donna, I think was at Wildlands helping, correct? And who else brought, Nellie, you brought a couple of people, I think, to the pumpkin painting, correct? So I'm going to say we made it to 40. I mean, it's a little bit of a stretch, and as we all know, how's the saying go, that figures don't lie, but liars figure, something like that. I'm just gonna extend it a little bit. So next week, we'll do the drawing for the 2 free prizes, okay? But make sure you get your names on the cards, okay? We'll go with those. Spreadsheet's coming around, make sure you get your check mark in. Secondly, thanks to everyone who, where's Nicole and Karen? Stand up. You two did an amazing job. Great job. Thank you so much. I mean, all of us do stuff. We're as leaders, we organize and so on. You have, we see 1% of all that happens. Actually, the event is the fun part. It's all stuff behind it and organizing. It's a great job, ladies. You did a super job. And it's been a really good month. I love this stuff. Thank you. And thanks to everyone who got involved. A reminder, the board meeting follows today. Now, Robert, where's Robert? Robert has told me that they have to start cleaning up in here at 9:30. So the board meeting is going to be pretty quick this morning. We got to be done. He's going to clean off that back table over there, and we're going to sit around the table in the back there today so they can get all these other tables ready. Right, Robert? That's how we're going to do this today. We're going to sit back there. Robert's by himself again. By the way, Robert's doing a great job by himself. All right, trumpet test today. Wade, you ready with this?
All right.
Okay. So, I have dumbed down the trumpet test just about as far as I can. We're just doing pictures now, just so you know. So the first question in the trumpet test, don't show it yet, Wade. Name one person pictured at the pumpkin painting. We had pumpkin painting, we had pictures of people. No, somebody raise your hand and now we have to wait. Larry, go ahead. So, Wade, let's see, put up the pumpkin painting pictures, Wade. What are you doing there? There it is. So, the next one, who? There's going to be a huge drawing. So the next one is name a person pictured in the rescue food prep event. Name one person. No, Megan, you're not in. Mark Earl, back from Paris.
Seal Birdsong.
Let's see, roll them up there. Take a look at it. Seal in one of these pictures. See here, we're still doing pumpkins there.
Pumpkins there. Some kind of thoughts.
Yeah. Good job. All right.
Seal, you make it look
To read your trumpet, or at least look at pictures. You must have put cartoons in next. Just a reminder, we still need people to come into a good group here today. This is super. I'm anxious to see what the number is. But we're all finders. So we all have to go out and find more. We'll talk more about that later. So club announcements next. Who has a club announcement? Please go.
You should have received or will be receiving probably today. And if it hasn't gone out, Rose Galeano is sending out the letter. She did, thank you, Cindy. The letter about the nominations for the women, for the International Women's Day celebration for the community women. We would appreciate your help. Without you, we can't make it. And remember that all the information is there, and the woman receives a $500 check for a charity of her choice. So thank you. Really appreciate your help.
Thank you, Richie. Great job with that. Other club announcements. I saw somebody else. Cindy?
Everybody, please register for the foundation seminar. It's our first in-person seminar, Saturday, November 6th. It's only half a day. We are pleased. We have Brenda Cressy, who's the vice chair of the Rotary International Foundation, as one of our speakers, as well as our new annual fund chair, Rebecca Silver. We have a couple announcements, lots of learning. For those of you who aren't trained in grants, we will have grant training after, so please support. We usually have 3 or 4 people from Emmaus signing up, so please register.
Thank you. Sue Strader, I see your hand up.
No, I was just.
Wait.
Okay, so you guys will see on your table that I left some 3x5 cards and also some red pens. So I'm asking that you do a couple things for me. I want you to write down on the 3x5 card at some point during the meeting today why you decided to become a Rotarian. The second thing I want you to write down is why you remain a Rotarian. And then the third thing I want you to write down is why you chose to join this specific group. It's going to help me with some things I'm trying to do for membership. So I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Repeat to us, Wade. What are those 3
Yeah,
again?
you got.
What are those 3 again?
All right, so the 3 things are, why did you choose to become a Rotarian? Why do you choose to remain a Rotarian? And why did you choose this specific group as your choice of Rotary service?
All right, and where are you going to collect those then?
Yeah, I'll just leave them at your table. I'll gather them up at the end.
Okay, Mr. Robert does it.
Yep, I'll get them.
Okay, Ralph.
Just want to remind everybody that next week will be food for the need. Thank you for all the people who have participated. I want to thank Joe especially because he's not going to be here next week to put the food in, so we already got it building for next week. So thank you, Joe, for thinking of it.
I think Joe's actually behind from the last time. I don't think he- Thank you, Ralph. Other club announcements. Okay, turn over to the greeter. It's a very odd looking bird-like greeter today. Oh, it's Sue Strader. I thought you were at the Tower of London, one of the ravens or something over there.
Yeah, that's what Seal was a raven and so was Gene. And Karen was the beat bat, the beat eater, right?
Yeah.
The Tower of
Well, the
London.
young
Alright.
have to go.
Very cool.
So I just wore the same thing all my the next day.
All right, okay, that's all I think of here. I think our speaker should probably take it today. I already told him what number to call. Seven, 1, 4, 0. Yes. Thank you, sir. All right, Sergeant at Arms, Don Blows, you're up, buddy.
Turn it on. Which button?
This way, speak the 5,000.
I'm hot now. Yeah, isn't the truth? So there's a couple people that have already paid me fines. One, I paid myself a fine. I'll be leaving early. There's pins missing. A few people were late. It's great to see Murtaza here. We miss you. Are you going to be joining our group? I didn't ask that. I didn't ask where you were. I really don't care where you are. Are you joining our group is the question. All right, well, we'll work on that, okay? Perfect. So I'm looking for, it seems everybody else has pins on.
I don't. Here's the thing, I'm just gonna get ahead of it. Here you go.
You can't put that in your Halloween costume pin?
I was too busy putting together.
Okay. So let's just look for happiness. I know we have some happiness out there. So we'll start with Karen.
Okay, I'm very happy. Last Saturday, we met at Science Church. There were lots of us who helped in the kitchen and made fantastic food for the rescue mission. We made 4 big trays of food, and myself and Courtney took it to the rescue mission. And we also went to Turning Point. We made them little freezer packs. So thank you for all your help. And please mark the Mike Wardell's spreadsheet. And then last night we had a very successful night at Miracle League. We had a humongous amount of candy, so thank you to everybody who gave candy. And we really thought we had masses of candy, and we completely got rid of it all. So it's amazing how much candy those kids did. So it's very successful, and thank you to all who came out and supported that too.
Great job.
Larry?
I have 5 happy dollars, so before I tell you why I'm so happy. A public service announcement. Be very careful with these things. I actually tried to spend one of these inadvertently when I was in Florida, and I almost got away with it until I saw it. So they're so real. Probably are going to get a call from the FBI.
They're busy with school districts right now.
Second observation is, Murtaza must be running for office because after Tom Capehart, I see him around more than any other human being in the White House. So thanks for coming. So I'm happy this morning because my daughter, who came home in June from Costa Rica, has been holding out for the perfect job, and she just got it. So, and of course, with COVID, she can do it from anywhere in the world, so she's going back to Costa Rica in December. So I'm happy and sad about that. But I know that's what she wants to do.
What's the job?
My last happiness is, I'm very happy for the Red Sox and how far they've gone. I've been very quiet all year because I didn't want to jinx it, but Roger made a great observation that the season was complete when they knocked the Yankees out. So after that, it was all great.
Double the fine, whatever that is. Double it.
Murtaza.
Yeah, I have a happy dollar. First of all, I saw Woody Rohrbach with the jungles of Kentucky. I was driving and I saw him taking out his garbage can. And I was like, hey, Woody, how you doing? So good to see you. But I'm actually here this morning to support my friend Ismail with the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. I am a member of the Chamber of Commerce for more than 10 years, and they do some incredible work in the community. So I can't wait to hear what he has to say today. And also with your work at LPRC, the Bay Foundation. And it was great to see you at the Hispanic Annual Conference. So God bless you for everything.
Go ahead, Joe.
All right, I got 5 happy dollars. Last Friday, I flew in the Wilmington area, and I had 3 beautiful touchdowns. Yeah, even though it was strong wind, gusting to 20 knots, so I had some really nice lands. And catching the auto train to go down to Florida later today. The hardest part of the trip will be getting from here to Lorton, Virginia, which is just south of Washington, D.C. So keeping my fingers crossed.
Very good. Alicia.
Happy dollars because I want to welcome my very good friend Ismael Arsenal. Ismael and I have been friends for over 20 years. And at one time, so active with you, Ismael, on so many things. It's wonderful to have you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
What do you hand up?
Happy dollar. Been invited by Princess Cruises on their inaugural cruise next weekend on the new ship, the Enchanted Princess. So I'm hoping the best can happen and we get quarantined for 2 weeks.
With all the princesses?
Yeah.
All right, all right, go ahead.
Sorry.
You're the last happy.
I just want to say thank you so much to the amazing fellowship league. You are such a great team. I wouldn't be able to put half the stuff that you together without the hard work that you put in. I'm just so grateful for each of you, Seal, and Nelly, Doug, Tony, Wade, Sal. I'm missing people, but you made pumpkin painting amazing. I'm really appreciative of that. I wasn't sure how it was going to go because Aldi had donated like 35 pumpkins. I was like, oh, well, we're gonna get 12 people. I went to go pick up my friend's daughters. I came back and the place was packed. It
Oh,
was
that's good.
really fun, and I can't wait to do it again next year. I think it's just gonna get better and better every year. So thank you.
What about Happy Dollars from Zoomland?
But,
Wait, did someone else? What did Eric say?
What about Happy Dollars from Zoomland?
Yeah. What about that?
over. About it.
Oh.
Did you put your hand up?
Yes, my hand is, I'd give you Happy Dollars, but the smallest thing here is that they don't have dollars. You have $2 coins. So I'm going to give you €5 because I'm back in my happy place. The weather's great. This is what we do for breakfast over here to begin with. And my whole business trip is going great. So I look forward to seeing you all next week.
Yeah, I know me that.
Diamonds appeared. Man's best friend.
Yeah.
Okay, I guess I'm up. So this morning we have Ismail Arsley, MBA. He is the chair of the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, one of the diversity business councils in the Greater Lehigh Valley Chamber of Commerce. I welcome you. Thanks so much for coming to our club to talk about what the Hispanic Business Council is doing in the community and some of the things that have been going on for the past year with pivoting with COVID and things like that. So without further ado, come on up, my friend.
One of these in a while.
We'll get your,
There you go. Hello, virtual land. I wish I was out there with you, Diamond. Good morning. Before I get started with my presentation, Roger, what you said, I don't know if you say that every week, but it was right on point. You know, one of the things in our society is we become polarization. I'm a previous member of the Rotary Club. I stopped because I started doing my doctoral studies, and there's only so much you could do at a certain point. But you're right on point, you know, your four-way test is right on point, I understand it. And as I just listened to you guys here this morning, you're in the right place and you're doing the right things. We need more of it. More importantly, as I look at Megan and I look around the room, there's nothing more but old guys. We've been here, we've done that, and we've gotten here, right? To 60, 65, I'm 65 years old. But we need more Megans. We need to build up the next generation of Rotarians because the work that you do is so important. We need young folks who need to get this into their system, into their blood, and into their mindsets. Unfortunately, we've become such a polarized society that nobody wants to join these type of clubs. Membership is going down across the board in all industries. As far as if you want to talk about corporate social responsibility along those lines. Matasa and Alicia, thank you. I've known both of them for a long time. I didn't pay them for what they said. It came from the heart. A very good relationship. I met Alicia about over 20 plus years ago when I had longer hair. It wasn't white. As a consultant, she gave me an opportunity at TPNL to do web development and coding. I write code. I have an engineering degree. I started out with that. So I did a lot of work with Alicia, but more important than the work is we developed a relationship. She actually was one of the ones that got me or talked me to, you should join Rotary, the Rotary Club. These are the things we do. So I know very much about your history through her. And then Matrasa, as he mentioned, I know him through the Hispanic Chamber. So it's a pleasure to be here with you this morning. And I look forward to sharing with you some points that I was asked to talk about concerning business. I'm here to augment your economic development month as an international club. You know, I'm finishing up my doctorate, and as I finish my classes and I get ready to write, now the real work comes in, right? But one of the things that interests me as I write, what am I going to write about? What is my doctorate material going to be about? And it's all in the business lineup. I'm really thinking about something along the lines of corporate social responsibility. not only at the international level, as we become a global society, but more importantly, here in your footprint, Allentown, Bethlehem, Easton, the Lehigh Valley, that footprint as well. So if you could turn to the first slide, I'm a professor now. I haven't been a professor forever, last 8 to 10 years. While I was finishing up my master's classes, I ran into too many professors that I'm like, this guy doesn't know what he's talking about. She's not correct. And I would address them appropriately after class, not during class, and say, no, it wasn't true, maybe 20 years ago, but not today. And then I got the bug of teaching. And once I got up there, forget it. I can go off for 2 or 3 hours at a shot. Right? You guys want to take a break? You know? But I love teaching. And every time I teach, or every class, and I'm doing it for you, every group that I speak to as well, this is who's talking to you. Some of the stuff that I'm going to talk to you about this morning, I make up. But this is where I get most of it from. I've been there. I've been at AT&T, working with senior leadership, learning how to work with diverse markets, 28 years, government, 16 years, statewide, nationally, locally. And I did that until my wife said, that's enough, buddy, not anymore. I was an elected leader as well as government, and then academia, as I mentioned, watching a couple of professors, I said, they can say that, I can get up and say other things. Right? I can do that in other words. I've been a business owner. As I mentioned, I started working with a VCFPT and as a consultant. I used to own my own newspaper. I'm finishing up my doctorate. In May of next year, I'll be finished with the classes. Now the hard part comes to writing. And then personally, happily married for 34 years, have a boss at home, 4 children, highly successful, all of them. You know, one of the reasons I'm doing my doctorate is the legacy. All of us, as we move forward in our lives, leaving a legacy for the next generation, who's going to do it better and fix what I couldn't fix in our society. Then I have 6 grandchildren. All 6 of them think I'm the king of the world. And the rest of the family is jealous because I love kids and I'm still a big kid. So that's who I am. Next slide. The mid-1960s. So part of my presentation this morning is going to talk about the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. Who are we? What are we into? What have we been doing? And next steps. But also a little bit about the Hispanic community, the Hispanic business community here in the Lehigh Valley. We're all aware of the statistics. You're tired of the numbers. So nationally, 20% of the population is Hispanic. In about 10, 20 years, it'll be 30%. And that says a lot as to where we're going. And then about, as that happens, as there's a shift in demographics in our nation, it's not going to be the conversation anymore about Black, Latino. It won't be about color. It'll be about American fabric. Because that's what we're really here talking about as we build up other communities, is the American fabric. So in the mid-1990s, I moved into the Lehigh Valley from New York, born in Brooklyn. I came onto the valley because of the low prices of homes. I had a property, I had a house built. And as I settled in, I used to work at AT&T, drive back and forth. And as I started meeting business professionals, peers in the world out here, we got together and we started something called the Hispanic Business Council. That's how the chamber actually started. A group of 5, 10 leaders that decided we need this out here. We need to augment, to support, to create pillars for Hispanic businesses who are continuously growing. The focus as we started the Hispanic Business Council was twofold: education and business. And we went that route for about 5, 6, 7, 8 years until we started realizing there's so much work to be done, too much work to be done by volunteers. And let's divide the work. So in the early 2000s, we split. And that's where the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce was born. early 2000s. And the split, we took the education part and created what's called the FAIR Foundation. FE really means, the word FAIR means faith in Spanish, but that's not what the acronym stands for. It stands for Future Entrepreneurs, building up and equipping the next generation. And it means the same thing in Spanish, futuros empresarios, future entrepreneurs. So each one went in a different direction. However, to this day, we sit on each other's boards and we still work together because at the end of the day, it's about business. It's about educating newcomers to this country from other countries with different perspectives on how to do business, learning how to do business here in the United States, and penetrating that market of new young people to get engaged and get involved. Today, as I mentioned, we share board members just so that we keep the work together. We do a lot of work. Next slide. The FAIR Foundations, their focus is education. And one of the things we've been able to do in the community as a Hispanic Chamber, along with the FAIR Foundation, is we realized that as newcomers come to this country, they don't necessarily know the opportunities. You know, when I was with AT&T as a middle manager, I remember Jorge Zayas. I was a middle manager, so I had the resources, the time availability within the corporation to go talk to students in high schools. And I used to bring every summer corporations, the big ones with resources, have affinity groups, business resource groups that grow and contribute CSR responsibility to the community, to different populations. And I was able to hire Latino students and bring them to the corporation. I speak about Jorge because when I first sat down with him as a potential summer student, he was thrilled. He was a graphic artist. And he asked me, "Mister, what is it that people do sit behind a desk? How do they make money? I don't get it." After that summer experience, Jorge, "Mister, thank you for the opportunity. It was wonderful." Jorge went on to get his master's in communications. He's in Texas now. But I never forgot what he said at the end of the summer. "You know what? When I came to this job in June, I was timid. I was afraid. I didn't think I was going to be able to do the work. After 2 months here, I knew more than everybody in that department." Empowering the experience and the opportunity. So I never forget that. So that's one of the things we do. The FAIR Foundation works with colleges, Northampton Community College, Lehigh University, Muhlenberg, Lehigh Carbon Community College, and we create opportunities for employment. We also work with area corporations, PG&L, Air Products, Olympus, to provide what? Opportunities where the FAIR Foundation, we pay the salaries for the students for 5 weeks, part-time, 20 to 30 hours. And what do they get out of it? Hopefully we get a lot of Jorge Zayas that move forward and continue with their education and participate in building up the American fabric. We've been doing that for about 10 years now. And thousands of students have gone through that program. Some of them stay on campus at Northampton Community College so they can experience what it's like to go away. Some of them stay at DeSales University. We partner them up with business professionals within the Hispanic Chamber so they can ask questions, so they can see themselves in those positions, right? So that's one of the things we do. Next slide, working with the FAIR Foundation. These are the some corporations that participate with us, City of Allentown, inclusive of small businesses, providing opportunities for young Latino and Latina students that for the most part, as they come to this country as the first people in that community, right, in their families, newcomers, first time in the United States, they don't necessarily know what it's like to sit behind it. That's as Jorge says, you make a living by sitting in front of a computer, right? At the end of the summer, most of them realize how you make a living and they move forward. These are the colleges and the businesses that we've been working with. Next slide. So as we grew as a Hispanic chamber, Hispanic Business Council, Divided Faith Foundation, Hispanic Business Council, working with volunteers and the business responsibilities of running the Hispanic Chamber got to be tremendous. We had a lot of presidents because at the end of the day, as you guys know, as you volunteer for these organizations, you have other lives. You're overwhelmed with participation in clubs as a volunteer, your families, right? At some point, we had a hard time keeping it and growing our leadership. So what we decided to do, we worked with the Greater Lehigh Valley Chamber as they were transitioning and growing in this community. And speaking with Tony, I know we realized, you know, you need to integrate diverse business groups into your chamber. Yes, you have some diversity, very minimal, but there's a whole different world out there that are your target markets. Your businesses are missing the mark with the opportunities of revenue. And also you wasted marketing dollars because they're not marketing the right way to the right communities as they grow. So those early conversations led to, you know what, why don't we create what's called diversity councils, which is what's up here. We'll make them part of the chamber. And what we'll do for the chambers, the Black chamber, the LGBT chambers, all those different groups, we'll give you 2 administrators to work with you and do all the paperwork, do all the recording, right? Because it gets intensive. It's a lot of recording of what are we doing, what are the next steps, and where are we going as an organization. So we partnered up with the chamber and we became one of the councils. So as you can see, we have African American, Hispanic, LGBT, women, and young professionals. Next slide. This is who we have on our board presently. What we do is we overlap executive board membership. 3 or 4 people go off, 3 or 4 new people come on. The terms are for 2 years. You can extend your term if you're that interested and you have the time to continue as an executive board member. But this is presently who we have on our board as volunteers. In addition to this, we have a committee membership. So we have the executive board that meets monthly, and then we also have committee members that do different things in the community, whether it's working with the Faith Foundation on education, whether it's working with business resources groups in the local businesses, working together with the resources of those corporations and trying to create some kind of synergy that benefits the local footprint here in the Lehigh Valley, which is tremendously important. Next slide. As we move forward, what else do we do? In addition to working with the Faith Foundation and small businesses, what else do we do is a mentoring program. Because as much as we're reaching out to each other as different diverse members of a society, we still don't understand, we really still don't value the opportunities that exist within those diverse groups. So we've begun a mentoring program. It's gone on for about 3 years now. But we started by mentorship within the executive board, mentoring each other. Then that cascaded down to mentoring committee members. Why did you join? Executive board members are people that have been with the Hispanic Chamber 5 years or more. Committee members have just joined. So as you send around your little card, why are you joining? Why here? We're doing similar things at the Hispanic Chamber. Why? So we can grow and develop those new committee members to continue the work that needs to continue. And then lastly, we mentor ourselves, mentor our community board members. What about the other diversity councils? One of the things we have to stop doing as a nation is working in silos. So with that thought in mind, we reach out to the Black Chamber. What are you guys doing? How can we work together? How can we create synergy with the LGBT community, with women, the women diversity councils, with the young professionals, working with each specific group to make sure we understand the nuances that we bring, the opportunities as different target markets. You know, as we're talking about business, in a world, we used to be a homogenous society, that's changing. as that changes, we can't market anymore. It's kind of like the old one, where you throw spaghetti against the wall, and whatever percentage response, you conquer that success. We have different target markets and different needs, different wants, different responses to how you market to them. So on the business side, when you think with your business mindset, how you approach your target market is critical. That you don't offend them, but rather you build them up and then you create a response. Next slide. What do we continue to do besides that? As a Hispanic business chamber, it's quite natural to support the small Hispanic business owner. Restaurants, organizations. In Bethlehem, we took the Hispanic Center on the south side, and we partnered with them with their food bank, with the programs they have that lead towards education, with the programs that lead towards business development. Same thing in Allentown, Casa Guadalupe. We work with local government, making them aware of how a small Hispanic business understands local codes. And with high schools, we visit high schools. High schools have Latino clubs. They have young, this organization SCORE gets into the high schools. So we partner with other organizations to make sure that students, all students, but in our case specifically Latino, how, why, and go back to Jorge Zayas. What do you do sit behind a desk? Next slide. Some of the initiatives that we've been working on as well as we move forward. When we work with the small Latino business owner, they're not necessarily aware of grants when they open up, to help businesses grow. Most of it is because being a newcomer into this country, not understanding the playing field. The other part is language barriers. By the time they get somebody to help translate, of opportunity has gone. So most of these grants that come around, very short windows of opportunities. Employment opportunities. One of the other things we do as a Hispanic Chamber, as we work with the corporations in the area, is hold them accountable. How many Latinos do you have on this staff? You're talking diversity. Now we're into inclusiveness. What is your percentage? We create some employment opportunities through the Fair Foundation, but additionally holding the corporations. It'd be nice if you hire 10 of them. Why not 50? But it'd be nice if you give them an opportunity to walk in those doors, to see your boardrooms, to better understand how to make money sitting behind a desk. And for that, we get really involved with the business resource groups. All the big area corporations that have TG now, like this, Air Products, all those guys, they all have affinity groups for all the mentioned groups, LGBT, women, Black, Latino, creating synergies, right? So this relationship goes both ways, not just one way. And all the corporations have been heavily participated in that, and we keep growing that relationship. Next slide. You know, as much work as we do here in the Lehigh Valley, it's disheartening to see. I've been doing this type of work since the beginning, 1990s, 1995. I moved out here as a successful middle manager at AT&T. Let me buy some land, and we build a house, and then live and raise my family in the manner that I want to. But always realizing the gaps and opportunities and inequities that exist in society. And last year, one of the things that we focused on, another thing that we do in the chamber, not only a lot of the community work, but a lot of the strong advocacy, having those hard conversations, right? Where are we? As I said earlier, we just go further and further, right? But where are we? If you look at the first bullet, the fastest growing segment when you talk about small businesses is the Latino community, the Latino small business owner. They started businesses at a faster rate, 5 minutes. they're growing faster and their revenues are more than the white small business owner. This is Stanford University that came out with this research. So those are some good points. Next slide. But with all that happening, these are some negatives from that same report. Although Latino businesses are growing bigger, faster, more revenues than their white counterparts, when they go from the bank loans to start to grow their business, they're being turned down. They're not being given the same opportunities. Second bullet. So what do when a bank turns you down and you have a thriving business, you bring in the revenues? You'll find the money. You go to family, you'll find the money usually by finding some type of vehicle that's going to cost you a higher interest rate. You're going to pay a lot more than what you should be paying. The pandemic. During the pandemic, another thing we do is advocate because small Latino business owners, by the time they got help and found out about applying for these grants and loans, the windows are closed. So we advocate with the government, federal government, state government, local governments, on creating avenues of understanding so that we can grasp those opportunities. Next slide. As I said, I can continue talking about statistics. I got an opportunity last year to work on the grant for the Lehigh University. I was a business consultant there. And as I did research and work with the SBA at Lehigh University, these are some numbers. 5 million as small business owners are Latino. The largest growing and most concentrated business growth in the Lehigh Valley is the Latino business owner in Allentown. Yet, the opportunities that they have, the information sharing is not there, and there's a big gap to educate that community. Next slide. So as I end my presentation, please ask some questions. I was going to show you a lot of statistics, but we know that. Question is, what are we going to do about it? I know you're all on the same page because you're Rotarians. I know you're working with internationally. Actually, to consider as well locally. You have shared with me a lot of what you do. But the last 2 lines on that says it all. We're talking about America. We're not talking about Latino, Black, LGBT. Our place globally as we become a global society, it's about us. It's about equipping, building, and having the next generation stand on our shoulders so that again, we become American leaders in a lot of segments that we lost our leadership. With that said, any questions? Thank you for the time to speak and share with you these mornings. I made up very little of that. Most of it came from experience in the AT&T, the corporate world, working in government, and now in academia. Thank you for listening.
For a minute or two, if there are some other questions, if you can just stay here for a couple of minutes, we'll certainly appreciate it. Okay, thank you. Just 1 or 2 things before we close. First of all, thanks to Wade jumping in to help Eric today with the AV Club. Did a great job today. We're back here today. It's just great to see you here today. Reminder, there's a board meeting immediately following this meeting. And if we could, if a few of you could pull those tables out from the doors there so we can put some chairs around there, we would certainly appreciate that to help us get up so quickly. We're going to be done by 9:30. So if we conclude our meeting, if you could please rise and we'll do the 4-way test. 4-way test of the things we think, say, or do. First,
is the truth. Fair to all concerned.
Third,
build goodwill and better friendships.
Fourth, you go forth and do good. Board meeting coming up.
Eric, are you going to log out and log back in?
Yes, because what I suggested to Wade to do is actually end this meeting and then start a new meeting and record that one. So Gene will have the recording to work with in the board meeting.
Very good. Okay, I'll do the same thing. All right.
So I'm thinking Wade should join.
All the cards on the table.
Hey, that would be awesome. Thank you. For some reason, it's not letting me put that PowerPoint in the chat, so I'll make sure you guys get it somehow.
Well, it's okay. I have it actually. I just want to check for the future as to why us folks in Zoom aren't seeing it.
Yeah, we definitely have to figure that out. All
Eric,
right.
was it everybody on Zoom or was it
And
just?
then I'll
me and Gary?
reinitiate it momentarily.
No, I chatted with Sal also. He did not see it.
We
either.
just stuck on the first slide.
Well,
Yep.
the first time that it was one of the other presentations that we did on Zoom. It was the same thing, so I figured it was just my computer. But
Nope.
yeah, it's stuck on the very first one.
Yeah, so I think what I did in the past, and I'd asked Wade to do the same thing. He just didn't see it. Is to point the camera at the screen, at the wall where the projector is projecting. I just don't know how good that view. Since this is my first opportunity to do a Zoom meeting, I'm not sure how good that is. So it's definitely something I've made the notes. Need to work on that one.
Cool.
Okay.
All right,
Wade,
guys,
still-
I'm going to terminate and reinitiate momentarily.
Great, thanks,
Okay.
Wade.
Thanks. And Wade, you're going to use the same weekly meeting?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Thanks. Bye, guys.
Bye.